Dad, Dad said to Mom, getting up. I've got some work to do anyway. Good night, my son. My son. There was another part of our Augie Doggy routine. Though I wasn't in the mood to say good night, dear old Dad. I'm so proud of you, said Dad. And then he got up out of the bed. Mom and had always taken turns putting me to bed. Take turns putting me to bed. Take turns putting me to bed. I know. Mom and Dad has always taken turns. I know it was a little babyish of me to still need them to do that, but that's just how it was with us. We'll check in on Via, Mom said to Dad as she lay down next to me. He stopped by the door and turned around. What's wrong with Via? Nothing, said Mom, shrugging. At least Dad should tell me. But first day of high school and all that, said Dad. And then he pointed his finger at me and winked. It's always something with you kids, isn't it? He said. Never a dull moment, said Mom. Never a dull moment, Dad repeated. Good night, guys. As soon as he closed the door, Mom pulled out the book she'd been reading to me. She'd been reading to me for the last couple of weeks. I was relieved because I really was afraid she'd want to talk, and I just didn't feel like doing that. But Mom didn't seem to want to talk either. She just flipped through the pages until she got to where we had left off. We were about halfway through The Hobbit. Stop, shouted Thorin, said Mom, reading aloud, but it was too late. The excited dwarves had wasted their last arrows, and now the bows the Braun had given them were and now the bows that Baron had given them were useless. They were a gloomy party that night, and the gloom gathered still deeper on them following days. They had closed they were gloomy party the night, and the gloom gathered still deeper on them in the following days. They had crossed the enchanted stream, but beyond it, the path seemed to struggle on just as before, and in the forest they could see no change. I'm not sure why, but all of a sudden I started to cry. Mom put the book down and wrapped over her arms around me. She didn't seem surprised that I was crying. It's okay, she whispered in my ear. It will be okay. I'm sorry, I said between sniffles. Shh, she said, wiping my tears with the back of her hand. You have nothing to be sorry about. Why do I have to be so ugly, Mommy? I whispered. No, baby, you're not. I know I am. She kissed me all over my face. She kissed my eyes that came down too far. She kissed my cheeks that looked punched in. She kissed my tortoise mouth. She said soft words. She said soft words that I know were meant to help me, but words can't change my face. Words can change my face. She said soft words that I know were meant to help me, but words can't change my face. Wake me up when September ends. The rest of September was hard. I wasn't used to getting up so early in the morning. I wasn't used to the whole notion of homework. And I got my first quiz at the end of the month. I never got quizzes. I never got quizzes when mom homeschooled me. I also didn't like how I had no free time anymore. Before, I was able to play whenever I wanted to, but now it felt like I always had stuff to do for school. And being at school was awful in the beginning. Every new class I had was like a new chance for kids to not stare at me. They would sneak peeks at me from behind their notebooks or when they thought I was looking. They would sneak peeks at me from behind their notebooks or when they thought I wasn't looking. They would take the longest way around me to avoid bumping into me anyway, like I had some germ they could catch. Like my face was contagious. In the hallways, which were always crowded, my face would always surprise some unsuspecting kid who maybe hadn't heard about me. The kid would make the sound you make. The kid would make the sound you make when you hold your breath before going underwater. A little sound. Sound. This happened maybe 4 or 5 times a day for the first few weeks on the stairs, in front of the lockers, in the library. 500 kids in a school. Eventually every one of them was going to see my face at some time. And I knew after the first couple of days that word had couple of days that word had gotten around about me. Because every once in a while I'd catch a kid elbowing his friend as they passed me, or talking behind their hands as I walked by them. I can only imagine, or talking behind their hands, talking behind their hands, talking behind their hands. I can only imagine what they were saying about me. Actually, I prefer not to even try to imagine it. I'm not saying they were doing any of these things in a mean way. By the way, not once did any kid laugh or make noises or do anything like that. They were just being normal dumb kids. I know that. I kind of want to tell them that, like, it's okay. I know I'm weird looking. Take a look. I don't bite. Hey, the truth is, if a Uki started going to school all of a sudden, I'd be curious. I'd probably stare a bit. And if I was walking with Jack or Summer, I'd probably whisper to them, hey, there's a Uki. And if the Uki caught me saying that, he'd know I wasn't trying to be mean. I was just pointing up the face. I was just pointing out the fact that he was a Uki. It took about 1 week for the kids in my class to get used to my face. There were the kids I'd see every day in all my classes. It took about 2 weeks for the rest of the kids in my grade to get used to my face. These were the kids I'd see in the cafeteria, yard time, PE, music, library, computer class. It took about a month for the rest of the kids in the entire school to get used to it. These were the kids in all the other grades. They were big kids, some of them. Some of them had crazy haircuts. Some of them had earrings in their noses. Some of them had pimples. None of them looked like me.